Hi there folks, Aaron Lind with Aaron Lind Real Estate Services here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're going to be asking the important question, is Victoria still worth buying in 2026? We're going to be looking at it from a personal point of view, we're going to be looking at it from an investment point of view, and then we're going to be looking at it from a bit of a hybrid point of view. To get our bearings, we're going to look at a couple of different neighborhoods close to the center of town. We're going to look at a couple of different price points, one a little more entry level, one a little more mid-range, and we're going to be talking about pros and cons in kind of broad strokes that could help fill in the blanks in whatever camp that you find yourself. Before we do all that, let's just take a brief moment, enjoy one of the obvious perks of living in this beautiful city. So, is Victoria still worth buying in 2026? Huge part of that is going to be your motivation, whether or not you're buying for yourself or for an investment property. And of course, a big part of that is what your budget is. So if you're moving for personal reasons, and I can attest from personal experience, I don't think there's any better place to live in Canada. Every day I walk out of my door and I see peacocks and I see ocean and I see palm trees and I smile ear to ear every time I see any one of those things. And the honeymoon phase still hasn't worn off after living here for over a decade. One of the things I love about the city is it's very central. Your commute is basically non-existent. You're a 15-20 minute drive from anywhere you need to be. And in the areas we're looking at today, you're 15-20 minute walk from the ocean, from downtown, from anything you can imagine. There's tennis courts, pickleball courts, lots of cycling paths, lots of nature trails, of course, beautiful oceanside beach drive, which is where we're filming right now. And what I love most about it, and what I think the edge is of this city over any other in Canada, you can basically do this all year round. Is Victoria still worth buying in 2026 as an investment property? You know, there's a lot to like about Victoria and a lot of things about the city that kind of protect our market when other markets might be turning down. We're a government town, we're a university town, we're a tech town, we're a film town, possibly above all else, we're a tourist town. So all of those will help protect the value here for investments. Thing is, we're still one of the most expensive markets in Canada, and to buy an investment property, you're going to need to start with at least 20% down. Rent prices have also been falling consistently over the last 2 years for a variety of reasons, but all that to say, if you want an investment to immediately be cash flow positive, you're probably going to have to put down more than 20%. And again, given that it's an expensive market, that's a whole lot of money to put down on the table just to sit safely, and your return is not going to be the same as it's going to be on the market. You know, you're lucky to not have to subsidize these units for a couple $100 a month if you're only coming in 20%. That being said, not all condos are created equally. So as of July of this year, the province has mandated that all stratas with 5 or more units need to have a depreciation report that's done within the last 5 years. If you're looking at an investment property right now that doesn't have that kind of updated depreciation report, I would say wait. Take a look at something where you know exactly what you're getting into. It's been updated. You know what the costs over the next 10 years are going to be. And if you're looking at things with parking membranes or pools or a lot of elevators, please just keep in mind your out-of-pocket costs just to maintain those over the next few decades are going to be more expensive than buildings that lack those. That also being said, from a renter's point of view, if it has a gym, if it has a pool, if it has in-suite laundry, people are probably going to pay a premium for that. The only thing you need to reconcile is older buildings that don't typically have those amenities, probably in a better location, and probably come with a little more square footage. So, depending on how far you want your dollar to stretch and what you want people to get for it, there are a few different nuances to consider. So most entry-level condos in Victoria run between $300,000 and $400,000, no matter what part of town you're in. But more likely, you're going to need a lot of work inside the unit or a lot of work inside the building. To get past some of those potential beginner mistakes, we're going to look at 2 mid-range options right in the heart of James Bay. The first one behind me is a 2-bedroom in a 40-year-old building. It's a tiny little walk-up, it's a cute little guy, and it's listed between $650,000 and $700,000. However, being an older building, you are going to have some maintenance issues. It doesn't have an elevator, it doesn't have a pool, it doesn't have a parkade, it doesn't have any of those sort of big ticket items, but windows, roofs, like these things aren't made to last forever, and something this age, no matter how well maintained it is going to require some work in the not too distant future. It also doesn't have any views of the water or the park, and we're right across from the park and we're right down the street from the water. So option B is a 1-bedroom unit for about the same price, but in a steel and concrete building. It's got views of the park, it's got peekaboo views of the water, and given that it's basically a generation newer, you're not going to have any of those major expenditures in the foreseeable future. Even though it's about 100 square foot less, for my money, this is a far better buy. So we've been looking at higher than entry-level condos in James Bay. Just on the other side of Beacon Hill Park is Fairfield. There's a lot of comparables between James Bay and Fairfield. One thing that Fairfield does a little bit better is they have a lot of these older houses that have been suited. So rather than being one of 60 owners in a condo, you can be one of 6 owners in a converted house. Gets you a little bit more space, a little bit more say with the strata, and it might just be kind of a different vibe when you come home. It feels like coming to a proper home. There's probably some dedicated outdoor space. And because they don't need to be built on like main thoroughfares with higher density, they can be kind of tucked away in the neighborhood and just generally a better location. We've got a couple of these in Fairfield to show you. This is number 1, and number 2 is right around the corner. So we're right around the corner from the last place we just saw, and as you can see, we're right down the street from Cook Street Village, which is one of my favorite haunts. And this is what I mean. We're not in Condo City, right? There's a lot of single-family homes around us, and here's an example of an old single-family home that's been suited. So for sale in this right now is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit for about $800,000. It's got a huge amount of dedicated outdoor private space, private parking, all that good stuff, and you're not in Condo City. It's a really, really nice compromise between cookie cutter condo life and the townhouse life that still has a bit higher barrier to entry in terms of price point. Speaking of which, let's go take a look at some of those right now. So speaking of townhouses, we're just about a block away from where we just were. We're still just down the street from Cook Street Village and just a block and a half away from Beacon Hill Park. This is kind of a newer version of a condo and townhouse complex in Fairfield. They're really nice townhouses, they're really nice condos, brick construction on the exterior, steel and concrete inside, so lots of good quality, noise isolation, that kind of stuff. Condos in this one will be anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million, and townhouses are probably going to be in the 1.2 to 1.5 range. If that's a little steep for you, just across the street we have another example. So this is an older complex. A lot of the units are actually pretty dated and do need, probably a 6-figure fixer-upper, but they're in sort of the 1 million to 1.2 range, a little more square footage, and it's only 7 units in the complex. So again, your voting power in the strata will just have that much more oomph to it. So one of the great things about both Fairfield and James Bay is they've got a lot of these quiet little kind of tucked away streets. And if you never knew they were here, you never know they were here. We're on Berwick in James Bay right now, and it's just a little cul-de-sac. Honestly, if you didn't live here, you'd probably never have any reason to drive down here. The reason we're here today is we've got 2 houses from the same era, in the same price point, side by side for sale. Actually, one just sold. And they're between 1.2 and 1.25 million each. The massive difference between the two of them is one has a revenue suite. Now, it's pretty easy in Victoria to spend 1.1, 1.2 on a house. It's still available, but a little bit more competitive to get a house for 1.2 with a suite. It's worth the endeavor. Every $500 you collect in rent will carry about $100,000 in mortgage. So each of these are 1.2, but the people with the suite, I know they're getting about $2,000 a month for the suite right now. So they're going to basically be buying a house that their month-to-month expenses are the same as an $800,000 house. Long-term resale value, there's a lot to be said for that. I think it's going to be easier to sell. It's going to be really nice to have that mortgage helper. And really, given the price trends that we see and the struggle that the missing middle are experiencing to get into housing, there's going to be a lot more folks lining up to buy the house with the suite, simply because it's the only option with that kind of square footage available to them. So, is Victoria still worth buying in 2026? If you're coming just for cash flow purposes and you just want to buy a little condo, I hate to break it to you, but probably your money is better spent in another market. If you're able to get any grass under your feet, be it in a little townhouse or a little house with a suite, even better, I think the investment numbers start to look a lot more promising. And if you're moving here for personal reasons, I cannot recommend it highly enough. We've got peacocks, we've got palm trees, we've got little pieces of paradise all over this city. And although the barrier to entry is a little bit higher because of the price, it is well worth it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please subscribe and join us for next time. We're going to be doing a few of these in the not too distant future. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's almost time for the Victoria Stampede where they feed the baby goats at the petting zoo, so I know where I need to be next.